All right, a very good morning to you and you're welcome to the program. It's Good Morning Ghana and my name is Ania Fompofo. We are live from the studios here at Northridge and we're also streaming on Facebook is Good Morning Ghana and also Metro TV online is the website. You can get the stories there also to read for your pleasure. Let's go to the headlines of the newspapers. I start off with the Daily Graphic and it says, lecturers government agree on unified pay structure. 73% Green Ghana trees survive, Minister. Ghana supports calls for change in global financial system, Foreign Minister. Ghanaian Times, Green Ghana project, a major success, Land Minister. President Akufo-Addo calls for deeper Africa-South Korea ties. EC allows party agents to observe vote transfer. 2 ex-soldiers, 9 others jailed 252 years over robbery at gold company. Daily Guide. Chiefs endorsed Baumia. Basic schools transformed. Educhum. Basic schools transformed. Okay. Educhum. I'll flee their traps. I'll flee their traps. Godfrey Dame is the one who is speaking. That's the Attorney General. Vote transfer. EC lifts ban on party agents. I like the caption. EC lift ban. Kufo is Kempon Academy patron. That's it for Daily Guide. Now, Crusading Guide. Government committed to sustainable urban development, Minister. Your capacity to help Ghana doubtless. Greater Accra House of Chiefs express confidence in Baumia. Mahian secures injunction against 9 Ashalaja elders over land. New dawn in public schools. Dr. Educhum is transforming old, dilapidated designs classrooms to state-of-the-art ones. Godfrey Dame speaks on wicked traps, says righteousness will always prevail over evil. And at the top right corner of the new Crusading Guide, President pushes for stronger Africa-Korea partnership at 2024 summit. Insights. Adamu's mining case. Why High Court ordered for IMT to run operations and project state interests. Full text on the ruling out. Nail-biting increase in electricity and water tariffs to take effect July 1. Iran's Imam Khamenei declares solidarity to American university students protesting U.S. government for Israel. Palestine, it says PSC SMG to hold car parade in Accra in protest of Israeli apartheid occupation. And also 2.37 million euros ambulance trial. Lawyer Minta Labi backs Atuforsen appeal to Chief Justice seeking televised trial. The Herald. Akufo-Addo government caught with Mahama's 5G promise in 2020 NDC manifesto. Minority appears confused. Ghana plants another 10 million trees on Friday. EC sacks lawyer in Peter Amau's disputed 2020 victory. Witness coaching Attorney General seeks refuge in God. City TV turns Channel 1 TV promises more impactful programs. State interest pops up in Adamu's mining saga. The Inquisitor. Hate agenda gone bad. Napos aide Shreds Taylor. Napos aide Shreds Taylor. Lock-up investments holders resume picketing today. Editorial huge plus for NHIA for saving kidney patients. Come on. CTAC declares indefinite strike. The Daily Statesman, sustainable urban development our goal. Local government minister Akufo-Addo calls for strengthened Africa-Korea ties. Chiefs express confidence in Bawumia. Over 81% of green Ghana trees survived. Over 81%. Well, I think another paper captured a different percentage. Okay, I'll get to it later. But we have also the Daily Searchlight. Ochehne Lands Ministry launches 4th edition of One Student, One Tree initiative. Bawumia abandons economy, promotes his integrity vision. We believe in your potential to help Ghana. Greater Accra House of Chiefs. Lands Minister addressed prayers ahead of Green Ghana Day slated on 7th of June 2024. There's coming soon on the front page of the Searchlight, but I cannot see, so I can't read it. But we also have STC board to meet union to resolve differences. Ministry of Education denies paying for non-existent internet service in schools. The Accra Times. God will rescue Ghana. Mahama prays. Speaker Babing salutes John Tia as he is laid to rest. May so rest in peace. Afenyo marking blasts NDC, says they are hypocritical. The health sector crisis. Akando unmasks Bawumia. Atoforsen takes on NPP over 5G spectrum deal. The Ghanaian publisher. Ghana's female VIP call, a snapshot of progress worldwide. Friday, June 7 is Green Ghana Day. 10 million tree seedlings to be planted. City TV rebrands to Channel 1 TV. Ghana Chiefs express confidence in Bawumia. The Custodian. Ghana set to plant 10 million trees. June 7, Lands Minister. Government spent 10 billion Ghana cedis in TVET project and Chibu Esiako. We believe in you, Greater Accra Chiefs tell Bawumia. Samia Oku donates motorbike to Reverend Menu for evangelism. The Informer. The law preventing party agents from monitoring vote transfer. Kodoyo backs EC. On misinformation, negative rhetoric, and downright lies, Dambochi calls for clergy intervention. In this issue, 2 retired soldiers, 3 fetish priests, 6 others jailed 252 years. House of Chiefs commends Bawumia for his humility and respect. Rawlins's foundation urges discipline in society as it marks June 4. The New Finder. Own urban policies. Minister appeals to stakeholders for desired impact. Greater Accra House of Chiefs expressed trust in Dr. Bawumia's potential to help Ghana. Out of 4 million trees planted, 30 million thriving. Out of 41 million trees planted, 30 million thriving. Jinapo. President Akufo-Addo advocates for stronger Africa-Korea partnership at 2024 summit. And then a Daily Post, Atoforsen case judge to decide on whether to halt prosecution on Thursday. Totobi storms High Court. And he's actually the former security couple for this country. We have a list of the number of voters MPP wants to transfer to particular constituencies, NDC. EC makes U-turn, says party agents can observe voter transfer exercise. And that's it for the headlines of the newspapers. Let's go for a breather. I'll be back.
According to his opinion, straight, the way he thinks it's supposed to be. I have done mine in court, so I'm expecting to come with this.
Do you
is in court, not in public opinion.
Do you
Sorry about that.
Do you expect Mr. Godfrey Dame to be in court today. Is that your expectation?
Well, he's supposed to be in court because he's Attorney General. And this issue is personally between he and I. You know,
If he doesn't show up, how would you feel if he doesn't show up?
The court to determine that.
Mm-hmm. So again, you want to reiterate that at the end of the day, you would be exonerated. You are not going to jail.
Because I'm an innocent man.
What do you make of the position that the tape you put out is a doctored tape?
Well, they are claiming it's a doctored tape. I didn't say that. So they should bring the original. They should tell the original to court.
But why did you record the Attorney General?
Well, that is not for you.
He says you've been disingenuous.
Oh, that's what he claims.
If that it was a private.
Prosecuting innocent people, who is disingenuous?
It was a private conversation, and now you put it out.
You claim it's a private conversation.
That's what he says.
Well, private conversation, when it's a conversation that leads to committing crimes, it can no longer be private. It becomes a crime against the state. So it can no longer be private. So that private claim is neither here nor there.
The bottom line is you didn't tender that in evidence.
I'm not a lawyer. My lawyer knows his strategy, and he understands the court processes more than I do. So he's doing what is required by him. He has got his own strategy, and I cannot dictate to him his strategy.
So at the end of the day, you expect that you're going to walk?
Well, there must be justice, and I'm here seeking for justice.
So justice, anything other than you walking free will be injustice?
I cannot decide that I'm walking free. It is her ladyship who will decide based upon the evidence I used before her. The evidence will lead to that. And I know she's going to hold fidelity to the law. And that's what is expected of her. And that's exactly what I know she'll be doing. So I don't have any issue at all.
Are you looking forward to a face-off between you and Mr. Godfrey Dame?
No, it can't be a face-off.
Face to face, let me put it that way, face to face.
There's no need for face to face. We are doing everything in court. My lawyers will deal with it.
In court.
But I cannot cross-examine him. My lawyer will do that. So there's nothing like face to face.
Have you seen him?
It's an issue of evidence against evidence. The game is about evidence, that is all.
Have you seen him since you put out the tape? Have you seen the Attorney General after putting out the tape in the public domain?
Not at all.
Has he reached out to you?
Not at all.
Have you reached out to him?
Not at all.
So there was a CJ, Justice of the Supreme Court involved. Has he reached out to you?
Not at all. There were many
arguments from the parties, but we heard clearly the court is saying that the ruling will be based on processes filed. Let's hear it.
That took some of us by surprise because usually the practice is that when parties to a matter before the court file applications and supporting affidavits and affidavits in opposition are filed, the court will normally allow the applicants to move the application. And you hear the lawyers say, I move in terms of the motion paper, the supporting affidavit, and exhibits. The court then has a discretion to allow you to add a few oral arguments or to stop at the moving of the application. The court has that discretion. The rules of court and precedent are very clear on that. But today the applications were not moved as the norm is. The trial judge said that what had been filed and were before her were adequate and that she was going to deliver her rulings on these processes. It is not any substantial matter that we are going to make noise about. At the end of the day, the trial court has that discretion and they have exercised that discretion. Just that we, as a party, would have been happy, given the considerable public interest in this matter, if at least the application had been moved and brief oral arguments in support and in opposition had been heard. At least it would have helped in educating the public about what these processes the courts refer to are. But be that as it may, a decision has been made. The matter has been adjourned to Thursday for a ruling. Not only on the 4 applications that are currently pending before the trial court, but also on an objection that counsel for Mr. Jakpa has raised. Now, for those who may not be aware of what these applications are, the first application has to do with an application for stay of proceedings.
And of course, replied, as we know. All I can say is that the Lord does not delight in the pleasure of the wicked. And that even though they've laid traps for me, I will flee from them. And righteousness will always prevail over evil. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
All right, you're welcome back to the program. It's Good Morning Ghana, and my guests are with me. Let me introduce Eric Amwakuchum, government spokesperson who has been on the Baumia campaign tour, but always tries to make time with us. Thank you for your time. You're welcome. Good morning to you.
Thanks.
Our campaign is going well?
Very well, very well.
Some issues came up yesterday.
Really? What are those issues?
Meeting the clergy.
What issue? What are the issues?
Cathedral.
Oh, okay. Are you asking me to speak?
No, not
okay.
yet.
Okay, that's fine.
I'll come back to it. But let me introduce Kwesi Pratt Jr., who is the managing editor for the Inside newspaper. You're welcome. Pet name Ankwesi. Welcome. Good morning to you. I hope you're well.
Yeah, I am.
How are you doing? How are you doing?
Doing well.
You're doing well. Okay, let me do this first before I come back to the guests. But let me remind you of the Kel 360 toothpaste. It says that if you are desperate of getting a toothpaste for the family, an all-round toothpaste for you, is Kel 360 toothpaste approved by the Food and Drugs Authority, and it provides your family with all-round dental protection throughout the day with freshness. Kel 360 toothpaste is good for kids, children, and adults. Let your family be proud family when they step out by constantly using the Kel 360 toothpaste. Also, it brightens your teeth, prevents cavity, and with its cool mint, it gives you fresh breath throughout the day and protects the gum from decaying. Also, for consistency and quality use, Kel 360 toothpaste is a product from Samara Company Limited, producers of Sasso. Also available in all markets, malls, and provision shops. Call them on 0246864798. Kel 360 toothpaste, happy smile. Now, Lift and Elevator says enjoying the fruits of labor is also as important as enjoying the mansions of your labor. The pains of climbing stairs when not exercising could be challenging, and so if you want to make it easy for you, you maybe want to go for the lift and elevator. Some of you use your staircase in your homes to run up and down as a form of exercise, but if you cannot do that and you want to use elevators, okay, that's also available on the market. It also comes with the best portable American pneumatic vacuum elevators on the market. Simple, self-supported elevator for both homes and offices as well, and it also can lift your goods. Wheelchairs can be fitted in them, and they can also be installed in a matter of 3 days, and you can have the elevator ready for use. Lift and Elevators is located at Sakumono. Call them on 0200-535-515 or send them an email to elevators@gmail.com for consultations and best solutions, of course, for easy movements or vertical movements. Now, I will. Before we get to, I wanted to go to Supreme Court. Before we go to Supreme Court, let's pay attention to something that the whole world is celebrating today, and that's World Environment Day. And when we talk about World Environment Day in Ghana, I think our biggest problem has been galamsey. That's been our biggest headache. The next problem that we see in recent times are trees falling during rains. Either you are moving or you are parked, it will fall and crash you or crash your car. So as much as people are thanking God for their lives, it can also be a headache being alive and knowing that your car is crashed and you are now thinking of, in this hard economy, how to find money and fix your cars and stuff like that. So we probably have to, consider some of these things and pay attention to. So I think I did some inquiries, and what I was told was that, in the past, we used to, as a country, we used to maintain our trees. So we would plant the trees. Trees also have a lifespan when they actually finally die out. So we pay attention. Parks and gardens, that was their work. And they will go around checking trees, advantage points, maintaining them, either they cut them down if they are out of lifespan, and they replace them with new plants or something. Now, are we doing that today? Because I think it's very weird. It's been raining we've been seeing storms in Ghana, but never in my lifetime have I seen trees, falling like now or like they're doing today. So maybe we need to pay attention what exactly is happening. But also, to check our environment and make sure we're greening Ghana. Ghana is joining the world to celebrate the World Environment Day. And we also launched something 2021, which is a tree planting exercise. Friday, coming Friday, that is 2 days' time, we are going back to the streets or to the farms, wherever they are located for us, to plant trees. Now, on the front pages of the papers, Daily Graphic says 73% green Ghana trees survive. Minister. But Daily Statesman says over 81% of green Ghana trees survive. And then the New Finder says, okay, out of 41 million trees planted, 30 million thriving Jinapo. So this is the same minister that has given us these figures. But let me pick maybe the details of Daily Statesman, if they actually picked it from the minister, because all of them have been, equated to the minister. Okay. The Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Samuel Abu Jinapo, disclosed yesterday that over 81% of the tree seedlings planted last year as part of Green Ghana project have survived and are flourishing. He indicated that the statistics are derived from a field assessment report submitted to Lands and Ministry by the Forestry Commission, detailing the verification assessment of trees planted during the years under review. The minister made the disclosure when he met the media at the Information Ministry in Accra. He assured Ghanaians. Let me be sure that Daily Graphic is not deceiving me. Page 13. Oh, it's not deceiving us. It says it also equates it to the minister. So Daily Graphic says averagely 73.3% of the about 42 million trees planted under the Green Ghana Day project have survived. A field assessment report on the survival rate of the trees has reviewed. The report also showed that 67% of the 7 million trees planted in 2021 had survived and were doing well, while 72% of the 24 million planted in 2022 were also blossoming. So the report further indicated that out of 10.7 million trees planted last year, 81% had survived and have survived the vagaries of the weather. The Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, Samuel Abu Jinapo, made this known at the Meet the Press series organized by the Ministry of Information yesterday prior to the year's edition of the GGD project scheduled for Friday. Okay, so this side says that the Damango Member of Parliament added that the decision to keep the target at 10 million trees would give the ministry and the Forestry Commission space to devote resources and attention to trees planted over the last 3 years while not losing momentum on our quest to restore our degraded landscape. Okay. But the reality is that as we are degrading the landscape, we are planting trees. The country called Ghana. Okay, let me come to the guests now. But have you followed the tree planting exercise, Eric?
Yes, I have.
You have? Okay. What do you make of it? I thought that when it comes to tree planting, it is tree. It is there physically, we can see. So in terms of reporting back to the media or to the people what you have done is easy, or it will be easy to show us pictures, videos, areas where we planted the tree, the type of tree that we planted, the style of the planting, what we wanted to achieve, and how it's going. It's easy. It's better we see it that way than to come and give us numbers.
Well, thank you very much. I would say that today being World Environment Day, it's important that you actually also bringing up this subject. There's always this belief that even when we're growing up, there was this phrase that when the last tree dies, the last man dies.
Someone told me that we used to say when the last tree dies, the last man dies. But now, when the first tree falls, the first man falls.
Well, it could be anything. But all I'm saying is that it's important that we are minded by what we do with the environment. There are human factors that are basically affecting almost everything that happens within the environment. And even for us as an economy that wants to thrive, having a system in place to make sure that when we forestall the degradation and the challenges that we are facing in the environment, and also having a long-term strategic view on what it is that needs to be done, for me, is important. And so whilst it's okay for you to even ask questions as to the veracity of the data that has been presented by the ministry, it's also very clear that the ministry has said that they actually did an audit, and this is coming from the evaluation that was done by the team that was sent out to go and make sure that these trees are there. In times past, we spent close to 200 million Ghana cedis on a SADA project with tree planting, and not a single tree actually survived. You know what I'm saying? So I think that for me, rather than looking at it from a half-empty perspective.
You say the SADA project, not a single tree.
No, but
survived.
there's evidence of that. The trees were planted in the Harmattan season and they all died. It's there. You're a journalist. I'm sure you can.
In the Harmattan season?
Yes, those trees were planted in the Harmattan season, and the trees died. You understand what I'm saying? So we've moved away from that to a point where the ministry is saying that close to 31 million of these trees have actually survived. And for me, I think that's a step in the right direction, because even if you're looking at it from absolute terms, those trees did not exist to start with. Now, even if you're looking at this year's theme on the World Environment Day, they're talking about land restoration, desertification, and drought resilience. So, I mean, Ghana is a signatory to all of these international bilateral and multilateral agreements when it comes to what we have to do with the environment. So, and even it's one of the key components of the SDGs. And so for me, I think that we are doing well. Should we do more? Of course, yes, we should do more. Apart from the government initiatives, it should be almost like a mindset for every one of us to, one, plant trees, to also have a mindset that this whole obsession with tiling and paving everywhere, even in our homes, is something that we probably should discourage, so that, I mean, every individual would have these trees in their homes and built up areas in schools and environment and all that. And for me, I think that it's one of the things that we can do.
It's an interesting point you're bringing out with the building architecture. I mean, the current building architecture that we have, where people want to use blocks. Sometimes they use blocks to block everywhere. Or they use tiles.
Yes.
I mean, you enter somebody's house and you're driving on tiles. It's interesting.
Exactly, And so I think that sometimes, even when we get to sit on this platform, there's always this thing that everything that happens to us, or everything that goes wrong as a result of a certain political system or government. But reality is that even when it comes to issues to the flash flooding and all of those things, I mean, if majority of the homes in your city are paved with tiles and all sorts of things, then by all means, when it rains, especially when it rains like heavily over a short period of time, the water will definitely not percolate. I'm not a geography expert, but it's difficult for the water to percolate over that short space of time, right? And so, while there are human factors, there are, of course, certain things that government should do to ensure that our environment is protected and all that. I think that we all have a role to play. There's this conversation that I think that's gone back to the back burner a bit, and this is a conversation around plastics, right? And that plastic and the kind of things that we use plastics for everything. For example, if you go and buy something worth 5 Ghana cedis, maybe the people who even sell these products do not even know that sometimes the plastics that are actually given to you to keep these things or to carry these things are actually worth more than what you are purchasing. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So these are conversations that, for me, we should be having even when it comes to this season of elections and all of those things. What are the broad strategic vision of these political parties? And that's why, for me, I think that the MPP flag bearer's vision on one, even moving away from fossil fuels and making sure that we tap into or harness the potential of wind, solar, and all of those things are important. You know, you can disagree all you like, but these are more long-term, if you like, solutions to some of the challenges that we are facing in terms of execution and all of that. Yes, then we can delve deeper into the arguments in terms of cost, in terms of impact on maybe our oil and gas industry and all of that. But even if you want to do a cursory analysis of where we are going at the moment in terms of global trends, all of these countries that had vast resources and reserves of fossil fuels are actually the ones who are championing electric vehicles and all of that. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So maybe even in terms of investment, we should be looking at some of the vision propositions that have been put out by the MPP flag bearer in terms of our energy mix, what happens to the environment, even when the vehicles in this that we are using. I remember in the last year or so, when there was an attempt to even impose emission taxes, people actually kicked against it. You understand? So
there was a reason behind kicking against it.
But I'm saying that you can kick against it, but when these conversations come out, it's important that we have a holistic conversation as to the real impact, why it's important that as a country, we would be able to now measure ourselves against best practices and all of that, rather than doing the usual politicking with it, or even criticizing for the sake of it. And there are examples of that. So, for example, maybe an MPP administration is in government today, they propose something, and willy-nilly, the opposition would have to disagree with it. Then maybe when the tables turn, they probably would even be proposing a similar or the same thing, and that is a brilliant idea because it's coming from them, right? And so there are certain key things, especially when it comes to issues concerning the environment, where we cannot play the usual politics with. We have to be minded by the fact that the resources that we have are not infinite. And if that is the case...
What I find us doing as a country is like when you have a dilapidated building and you want to maybe rebuild, sometimes you see that there's a need to bring the whole building down and then start it afresh. We have a situation where we are not solving the situation from the base. We are always building on the mess that we have already created or we have established. We have plastic swallowing us. We have galamsey. We are lying about galamsey almost on the daily basis. Leaders know who are involved in galamsey. Galamsey itself is muddying our waters. In fact, polluting it with chemicals that are deadly. We have researchers that have actually brought out the effect of what the water bodies are now having on us with babies that are being born today and the effects that we're seeing. So I mentioned parks and gardens. The basic work that they have to do, they are not doing. So we are planting trees, but we have trees killing people or destroying properties. By just today, 2024, we cannot have things like that. And we say we are planting trees. It's a good thing to nurture. If you read what we have on the website of Green Ghana, it says the benefits of Green Ghana project, awareness, which is, I think, achieved. Benefits, inculcates the values of tree planting and nurturing trees and associated benefits amongst the youth. So you have Ochehene, for example, now launching tree planting, one tree, one student, something project today. So it means that the awareness, has linked into that, where associations are all now trying to come on board to encourage either the young or the old or associations to do it. We have mitigate climate change. And then we have enhanced livelihood. Enhance livelihoods for rural communities through their engagement in the production of tree seedlings, beautify the environment, beautify our communities and environments, which is what we have not achieved today. Enhance livelihood, we have not achieved it, and mitigate climate change. It's a process.
I think that,
I'm saying that because there are some things that, listen, Eric, I am one person that I think there's something I say I want from government. I want the contract of beautifying the medians in Accra.
Yeah.
We have medians in Accra that can nicely be beautified. It will be somebody's work.
Yeah, so.
Those are the basic little things I'm talking about.
I appreciate that. But you see, I think that it's also important that when we have these conversations, we even look at it from where we have come from. And I always go back to in times past. When you turn on your TV, you're talking about bushfires. You're talking about people using charcoal and all of those things over the period. And it's not even just a function of one government. Over the period, apart from the interventions that have been done by almost all governments, there's also the, if like a tribal or a growing middle class who have moved away from the traditional methods of using the firewood and charcoal to using LPG and all of those things. You understand? So for me, I think that sometimes when we have these conversations, it's important that we do not make it look like everything is negative, right?
Oh, okay.
And let's also look at the strides that we have made. And it makes it easier for us to look at where we are falling short and the intervention that we should make. So for example, there are people who even have intervention. I think that the second lady has this intervention when it comes to clean cooking, where they have these purposely made cooking pot equipment or something like that, makes you use less charcoal, for example, for you to be able to cook and all of that. So these are interventions. Is it enough? Should we do more? Definitely yes. You understand what I'm saying? So for example, if we're having conversation about galamsey, or even if we like to a certain degree, small-scale mining, what are the things that we are putting in place to, one, claim these lands? What are we going to use these lands for, right? And so I know that there's this whole idea of making sure that these lands are reclaimed for alternative livelihood purposes, to plant coconut and all of those. Yeah. Should we do a lot more of that? Yes. Should we put stringent measures in place to forestall this whole menace of galamsey? Yes. I come from a place where galamsey is still rife, right? And so in as much as it's important that government puts in systems and mechanisms in place to forestall that, it requires the concerted effort of everybody. You cannot sit in a village, for example, and see a huge excavator sitting on a payloader coming into the village and driving into the forest areas, and you say that you haven't seen that. You understand what I'm saying? So it requires, for me, everybody to be able to understand that. But should we be having conversations about renewable energy, alternative sources of energy, like the Vice President, the flag bearer of the MPP has indicated, in terms of making sure that we have 2,000 megawatts of solar power, wind, try to even introduce electric vehicles into the country. Then we can go into the debate as to how feasible these things are and what it is that we need to be able to do so. But for me, I like the fact that, I mean, you also bringing this to the fore so that we discuss, become the front. We should be having these conversations at our basic schools, secondary schools, tertiary schools and everything. We have engineering students and people who are reading all sorts of sciences in this country. Can we find a way of making sure that we even encourage them to come up with alternative sources of energy, making sure that we have things to be able to forestall the environment, degradation, even a conversation around recycling. You understand?
Yeah.
So even the things that we feel that are not contributing to pollution of the environment, like even clothing. You understand what I'm saying? There has to be a way of, being able to recycle this for other uses. Plastics, there are technology that has been adopted for even to turn plastics into pavement blocks and to do road construction, all sorts of things, right? And then once we have that, then sometimes this whole conversation around even there are no jobs and all of that becomes a conversation that can be looked into in terms of, do we have a way that we can even use some of the challenges that we are facing today to even generate jobs? Because other countries are doing it. They're creating jobs in the millions when it comes to renewable energy sources, recycling, and all of those things are things that are making people money. I mean,
like I said, like I mentioned, the medians. It will be interesting to see. I
was in the Upper West when your boss, Jospon, was launching his recycling plant in Upper West. And
I mean, Mr. Sian with Japan.
All right. Right. And see, so these are the conversations that we should have. So as small as it is, I mean, as if like marginal as you think that its impact is, these are the things that we should be encouraged. These are conversations that we should be having. You know, so in other places, I mean, the people who deal in what we call, in the local parlance, called baller, are actually the richest people in those countries, right? Because they actually say
but
trash
my point is you have given me, you have given me a promise on, first of all, I will make Accra the cleanest city in Africa. You have given me a promise of galamsey, how you stop galamsey and ensure that we have responsible mining. You are responsible to give me the report of that. Where is the report of that?
Report on what?
Of these promises.
No, but I mean,
why are we on those promises?
But you see, and that's why I think I've made a point that in all of these conversations, it's always important that we contextualize it. Where have we come from? Do we still have challenges with the issue of, let's say, rubbish collection or whatever? Do we need a lot more recycling plants? Yes. Okay. Should we have more dumpsters to be able to do that? Yes. Should we have measures in place to make the issue of galamsey a thing of the past? Yes. Has government done certain things to stop that? Yes, we have done ABC. So, for example, even when it comes to these community mining schemes, because it's not the case that an MPP administration wants to stop small-scale mining. It is the challenges that galamsey, which is illegal mining, has caused in terms of even issues to do with supervision, making sure that the right things are being done, the land is being reclaimed, they are not mining in water bodies and all of those things. So we can have those conversations.
We're having those conversations.
Yeah. And so for
We're having it now.
I'm not one of those people who will sit here and play ostrich and say that we still don't have a lot to do. But we cannot basically sit and throw our hands up in the air and say that it's been a fight of futility. Okay,
Ankwesi. Even though you came before Eric, I made you start first because I wanted to hear what you have done so far.
Yeah, sure.
Before I come to you.
Well, I was hoping that this topic, the discussion of this topic would provide us with an opportunity to evaluate what the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources is doing and to evaluate its environmental impact and so on, until my brother and friend Eric decided to turn the whole discussion into some needless propaganda.
Oh, all the things that I said was needless.
Don't worry, I would explain to you. You see, before sitting Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia was born, the idea of moving away from fossil fuels to renewable energy was there. It cannot be his vision. Hold on. So how does that become his vision? Before he was born, the vision was there. You understand? Go and take a look at the 7-year development plan that Nkrumah introduced in the 1960s. That idea is there. Not just that. Even the Dankwa Buzia tradition from the Buzia era spoke about the idea of moving away from fossil fuels to renewable energy. The Mahama administration did a lot about moving away from fossil fuels to renewable energy, and I can give you a list of projects. The sitting president, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, only recently commissioned a huge solar plant.
Yes.
What was it about?
Yeah.
Even Nana Akufo-Addo, whose vision Dr. Bawumia claims not to share, is doing the same thing. So all of a sudden, something which has been happening for well over 60 years becomes Bawumia's vision. Start from 1992. Take all the manifestos of all the political parties, including your own, This idea is there. How does it all of a sudden become Bahumia's vision? Strange. And then this idea of introducing, cooking equipment like stoves,
Clean cooking
and so on. Now it's being attributed to the second lady. My goodness, how did that happen? I used to be the public relations officer of the Ministry of Fuel and Power. In the 1980s, I was the public relations officer of the Ministry of Fuel and Power. This is an idea which has been pushed over the years. Somebody like Mr. Atuahoy vigorously pushed that idea, and it led to making that coal pot, the new brand of coal pot and so on. They existed long before the NPP came into power. Now, all of a sudden, that is also attributable to the second lady. Please, let's cut these things out. I think, and I honestly think, that the Ministry of Natural Resources, Abu Jinapo's ministry, has done well by introducing this tree planting exercise. And indeed, in spite of the fact that the figures are different, the survival rate of the trees that are being planted are impressive. Even if you take the lowest, 75%, it's impressive. My worry is that as we plant trees, we destroy trees. That's my worry. We are planting a lot of trees. We are committed to greening the environment and so on, which are all very good things. At the same time, Galamsey is destroying the environment, cutting down trees, cutting down economic trees, and so on. So the urgency with which we want to green our society, to plant trees and so on, should go hand in hand with another urgency about ending Galamsey and all the things that contribute to degrading, the environment. Otherwise, we plant the trees and we destroy the trees.
Yeah.
It's not a very good, There is something else that I want to talk about. Trees grow in a dual dimension. Trees grow towards the solar, that is up on the soil. They grow towards solar. And then beneath, they grow in response to the force of gravity, what is under the tree. Now, for trees to survive, you have to take care of what is above the soil and what is beneath the soil, because they support each other. Okay. Now, recently, in places like Dakuma and so on, we are hearing reports of trees being uprooted by the rains and causing tremendous havoc. Largely, that is attributable to the fact that the bottom, the part of the tree that grows towards gravity, is not being taken care of. So it is not able to support the part of the tree that grows towards solar. Okay. And I saw video footage of people on the ground who were saying that the roots of the trees can no longer develop naturally because they're obstructed by construction.
Oh.
Okay? They're obstructed by construction. Some construction endeavors have led to cutting the roots and so on. So the roots are not spread enough, are not strong enough to support what exists, above ground.
Yeah.
So, yes, let's plant trees, but in taking care of trees, it is not only what appears above the ground that we have to focus attention on. We need to focus attention also on what happens to the tree beneath the ground, its roots and so on. That's important. Now, I've been to a few countries and I've seen things that were totally shocking. I went to a province in Cuba where nobody is allowed to cut a tree for any reason. Trees have virtually been declared sacred. So you go to somebody's house and in his sitting room, there's a tree. So you are forced to build around trees.
The tree.
Yes.
Wow.
You can't cut the tree. So if that is the only land available for you, your planning ought to take into account how to preserve the tree. And I went to several buildings where the trees are standing right in the middle of rooms. You understand? I mean, that's really aggressive. That's extraordinary. I mean, the extent to which we go to protect trees is extraordinary. Now, I saw something again which was totally shocking. I live in Musuku. You see that road from that overhead near Presec Secondary School, if you drive down towards the Atomic Energy Commission and so on.
Yes, along that line.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, not too long ago, the Atomic Energy Commission decided to beautify that area. So they planted beautiful flowers and so on. And then to make people see the flowers, they cut the huge trees there.
The trees.
These are scientists. It's not like me, ignorant person and so on. These are scientists. Cutting down trees which have been there ever since I got to know that place, in order to make people see the beauty of the flowers they were growing. And I was horrified.
Yeah.
Really horrified.
I think the last time I passed and I saw all those trees cut down, I was wondering what exactly was going on.
No, because they want you to see the flowers, the beautiful flowers, so they cut down the trees.
Was that the reason they cut down those trees?
What else could that be the reason? They cut down the trees when the flowers started growing, so that you can see the beautiful flowers they have planted. Of course, the flowers are beautiful, but the trees are important. You understand? And I have been horrified by the cutting down of those trees. Now, if you take the whole of Accra, the city of Accra, we have only one carbon sink, and that is the Achimota forest. For some time now, everybody who comes into power wants to sell Achimota forest. They want to build hotels, cut down the trees to build hotels. ABBEY. Why? They want to build churches in the forest. Some of them want to cut portions for themselves and so on. Total madness, if you ask me. Complete madness. So the Achimota forest has become the target of politicians. They want to take it. They want to destroy it. They want to build useless structures on that land. They are not satisfied with taking all the lands in Laboni and cantonments and so. Have you recently passed in front of the South African embassy? See the monstrous structures that are coming up, the government bungalows that have been, destroyed for private property owners to build humongous structures there and so on. They are not happy with that. They want also to take over the Achimota forest. And then they come up with all kinds of arguments that it belonged to some family and they are returning the land to that family. Returning the land to which family? That forest is so crucial for the survival of the 4 million people who inhabit Accra, including the family which claims to own it. So why this focus on reducing the Achimota forest to some game park and some things and things and things and things? I can't believe it. But these are the politicians we have. These are the politicians who claim to be fighting for the preservation of our environment. They want to take over Achimota forest. And I think that, look, we have a duty to ourselves and to future generations to marshal all the strength we can to prevent any politician from any political party or every political party from taking over the Achimota forest for whatever reason.
Perhaps any other forest.
Well,
because
I agree.
Oh, yes.
I agree. But the Achimota forest is the only one left in Accra.
In Accra.
The only one left in Accra. When that goes, there's no forest in Accra.
You know the interesting thing?
And that is why we have to.
Both Nanado and, I said Nanado, both Baumia and former President Mahama are talking about Accra being choked. and strategies of how to decongest Accra. I remember Mahama spoke about it last week. I read certain things on Twitter. He was dragged that he was changing the capital from Accra to... And then yesterday, Dr. Baumia spoke about the same thing. We have the videos, and he's talking about how we can take some of the things from Accra to... So at the same time, you want to maintain... what are you doing to maintain the capital city, Accra? You're actually destroying the city.
These politicians, maybe they have no understanding of our history. Maybe. Don't blame them. Maybe they are completely ignorant of our history. This idea of moving the capital city from Accra, initially to Dodua, was
yes, I remember.
It's 60 years old, more than 60 years old.
Oh, 60 years.
More than that. And they always come to us and repeat the same things, and they say we have new visions and so on. They are not new visions. When you have the situation in which we live today, when the economy has collapsed, when there are no resources for doing very basic things, and so you are telling us about moving the capital city. When you still have children schooling under trees without blackboards and chalk, you are telling us about moving capital city. Where are you going to get those resources from? Let's be realistic. Let's deal with problems we can solve.
Yeah.
You understand? And not grandiose ideas that will take us nowhere. In the same meeting, the whole idea of building the National Cathedral, the meeting with the clergy, came up again. And I'm shocked. I'm shocked that today, anybody would have the guts to raise the issue of building the National Cathedral again. But that is what they are doing to us. Understand? That is what they are doing to us. They don't take us serious. They don't think that we are capable of thinking. They don't know that we know our history. They think that we are dummies, we are yo-yos. So they can come and tell us anything, and then we'll vote for them, and they will continue, and the city will continue to devalue. The city is approaching 17 cedis to $1 from 3.4 only 8 years ago. And you are telling us about building new cities? What is wrong with these politicians?
Maybe you want to say something?
No, I mean...
Or I should go for a break and come back.
Well, I mean, when it comes to conversations around a city like Accra, for me, I think that, the conversation can always go on. Is it the case of a concept of a new city is a bad idea? I don't really think so. I think that even
no, it's just, I think listening to Mama was just moving things.
No, but the point is that you can even have a concept where these things can actually become an organic. Accra as I know it. When I was growing up, I grew up in Tantra Hills. Now, there used to be an old road, Accra Kumasi Old Road, and then before they built this one. Back then, if you're in Tantra Hills, you come to stand at St. John's, you want to get a car to Circle. Sometimes it can take you 4 hours to get to Circle, because that was the only road that was leading from Accra, Kumasi, the major road, into the city of Accra. So the city itself, over the last 25 years, 30 years, has organically transformed. Now, once a city...
Without any proper planning.
Yeah, once a city transforms, you would have issues with inner city challenges that every city in the world has. You understand? Now, issues to do with accommodation, issues to do with the drainage system and how you even dispose of your refuse and all. Those are conversations that come up. All of these challenges also comes with opportunities and new thinking. It's not the case that if somebody profess a view or a vision on how something should be done, it means that it has never been thought of before. But the reality is that, people conceive ideas all the time, and somebody comes and does it. I'm sure that hundreds of people actually conceive the idea of an aeroplane. And somebody built it.
But you know what we end up doing? You know what we end up doing? Even if the league guy says about 85%, graphic says 73%. If 73% of the trees survived, and that 73%, the same quantity of trees or number of trees, we've destroyed them in the Galamsey areas, what do you think you have done? You have stagnated.
No, but the point is that
there's no achievement.
No, but you see, I think that that's what I'm saying. I think you're wrong in that sense, because even when it comes to the people within the forestry space and who do logging and all of those things, they have a concept of when you cut a tree, you have to plant it.
Yeah,
you understand what I'm saying?
But that's
so
let me finish. The reason I'm not wrong is the Galamsey areas, those concepts are not being applied there.
Can I finish? There's something called sustainability. Sustainability is that definitely as a people, as a human race, we would use resources that the environment gives us. What you do, I mean, what even the global SDGs talks about is to make sure that you do what they call reforestation. You have measures in place to do to forestall desertification because of the climate, ozone layer, all these conversations. You understand what I'm saying? So it cannot be the case that a tree will never be felled. How would you build your homes? How would you build your streets? How would you build your cities? How would you develop? You understand what I'm saying? So you would do that, but a conventional wisdom will say that, one, you replace this thing maybe times 2 or 3 so that you still have those resources. And then also you find new ways of actually doing exactly the same thing without affecting the environment. But it cannot be the case that we are saying that a tree cannot be felled in this country. So how would you build your homes?
It can be a case.
Yeah, but it cannot.
It can be.
How would you build your homes?
It happened
how would
in
you
Cuba.
build your schools?
It happened in
how
Cuba.
would you build?
No, it can be a case.
It
happens. When he mentioned it, I tried to Google.
Can I make my point?
Yeah, you make it. You make it. When he mentioned, hold on. When he mentioned,
Yes.
if my producer can put some on the screen. When he mentioned, I tried to Google, and you see, look at this.
Yes.
If you can put some on the screen for other viewers to, also see. Right. That's another one on the screen.
Yeah,
look at this.
But
this is someone's home.
I am saying that.
So it can be done.
No,
you can't say that it's not possible. It's possible.
We're sitting in this studio, right? What do we use to roof your studio? You have wood. You have all sorts of things here. And I'm saying that it is not the case that you will not fell trees at all.
Yeah.
It is what you do when you do that. And we have to have that conversation because you need to take advantage of what you have in the environment. That is why even this conversation, I was a bit surprised that Kwesi was talking about the fact that when Baumia says that let's do wind, solar, and all of those things, it is not an original idea. Of course it's not an original idea. But he has gone back to even indicate numbers and says that 2,000 megawatts of solar power. Now the conversation is that if he gets the opportunity to be president of this country, now we will evaluate him based on what he's able to achieve. You know, so what I'm saying is that, yes, do all the things that you're doing, but make sure that there is a system in place, there's a mechanism in place to replant these trees, to reclaim the lands that we have deteriorated, either degraded because of Galamsey and other means. Because people even do farming, the everyday farming that we do in terms of agriculture, right, has its impact on the environment, right? So you need a holistic. If somebody tills a land and clears a part of a forest or whatever to grow maize, he has degraded the environment, right? So as a human race, we will definitely do that. But what other people do when it comes to best practices is to have sustainable ways of farming, sustainable ways of tree logging, and there are other methods to ensure that we don't use these resources.
It's a broad perspective. Someone has sent me a message which also took my attention there. I didn't mention it earlier. Alhaji Haruna Ashama, he says, today is World Environment Day. Let us pay attention to Ramsar sites at Sakumono. It's not just Sakumono, Ramsar sites in other areas as well. So, and you see, that is also another very serious problem we face with in this country. So I'm not sure if it's just the land tenure system that has outlived its purposeness, or we just don't know what to do. Because when it comes to environment, we seem to need a very strict legal framework. I am very much interested in the Cuban situation, where you once you buy the land, but the tree is not part of what you bought. Right?
No, but I think that,
we probably must devise some very throat-cutting laws that will ensure that even in a situation where we cannot plant any more trees, we still have more sustainable trees around. So we can't have the trees and be cutting them. Some of them are falling by accident. And we say we are planting. It's a good thing that we want to, regurgitate the whole thing, that we need this exercise. But it is neither here nor there when we have what we can protect. And we are rather destroying it and spending more money, time, energy. Look, I don't even know the type of trees we're planting. You know that in some countries, they devise the type of tree, the seedlings they give out, where to plant the type of seedlings. The planting, okay, there's some video I think my producers were playing. I want that video. Let's have that. I'm not sure the type of tree they were planting, and I don't know which country. No, not this. The tree planting exercise. I'm not sure the type of seedlings they had, and I'm not sure which country, but I saw that video. It's the style I saw that I thought was interesting. So let's have that video here. Okay, so that's it. So I thought that we would like to see things like these. We are fortunate to have forests, and we can protect those forests, but we're destroying the forests. So these are people who are also trying to get themselves up to places where we cannot be looking at maybe states like New York. If you have an area view of New York and you say you want Ghana to look like New York, you know what you're asking for. Sometimes I think that Africans, we are doing too much because our land does not require us to live like that. If it's the green, let's do the green, because the green actually makes us Africans. I'm very, very much, that's why I'm spending a lot of time on this. I'm very much passionate about natural environment, very, really. So, well, I guess we'll take a breather. And Dr. Bawumia, who was touring Accra, Greater Accra yesterday, we'll be back shortly. Welcome back to the program. I'm still in the studio with Kwesi Pratt Jr., who is managing editor for the Inside newspaper, and also Erica Makuchum is also a government spokesperson and on the Bawumia campaign team. Let me remind you that Game Park Games Limited says if you want to know what wealth means to you and you want to live like a tycoon, remember who's got the mullah got the power. So Ghana's newest lottery game draws live on Adom TV 9 a.m., 12 p.m. and 6 p.m. daily. So pick your tablets and download the Game Park Game apps on Play Store. You can also play on the website. It's www.gameparkgames.com. or dial *946# on all networks. Just choose from the numbers 0 to 9. It's easy to play and also easy to win. It says, actually, make we play and make some moolah. No, nobody beats our odds in Ghana. Game Park Games is regulated by the National Lottery Authority, not for persons under 18, so play responsibly. Betway Cash Out is also says that I used to call. Betway is giving you more control over every thrilling bet you place. Enjoy the biggest and most reliable cash out in Ghana on Betway without hassle. Sign up today on betway.com.gh. And is regulated by the Gaming Commission, not for persons under 18. Blue Jeans energy drink is also available on the market. It has been there for over 20 years. It also It contains vitamins like vitamin B2, B3, B6, B12, as well as taurine and guarana, which are known to boost your strength and energy as well as promote high performance and endurance. Blue Jeans energy drink has been tested and tried and is indeed the best on the market. It's drink for the bold and active men and women, so grab your own and power your day. And it's available nationwide in shops across the nation. Contact Budget Cash and Carry on 0208 128 190 or 055 001 000. Let me just go through a few messages that I've received, Annie. If we all agree that the capital that the capital is choked, then the idea of moving or the mere thought of building a new commercial and administrative capital cannot be deemed premature. Osajifo built a new township city in Tema at the time when more than 3/4 of the population didn't even have access to so many basic things. As for the idea to move the capital elsewhere, it is a very good idea. It has been done in many places. Indonesia is the latest country building a new capital in a forest. It will provide jobs for over 20 years for citizens. And then this is laudable, and we, the progressive ones, must support it. This is from Mansa Musa, UK.
What is Mansa Musa going to do now? You can't afford fuel to generate electric power. You don't have the resources to buy fuel for your generating plants. The modern city will be built with resources. What are the resources? It's not a fanciful idea
of just doing it. So, Ambassador Sampiale says, if for India is one of the biggest countries in the world, in India, every tree anywhere is numbered, and no one can cut down or even prune a tree without express permission of not more than 6 ministries and institutions. Wow! So, however, in Ghana, we have passed a law that allows mining and logging in forest reserves. We willfully allow people, including Chinese, to destroy our water bodies and forest cover. Even our age-long Achimota forest has been willed to families. Are we cursed? Okay, the other one, I'm not. Ambassador Zampiale, I'm not reading it. Praise from Henry Koforidua says that in 2016, 14.5 kg LPG was 56 Ghana cedis. Today, same sold at 285. My point is, most rural areas will not be able to afford this exorbitant LPG prices, so we'll revert to charcoal. Now, do we get charcoal? Now, how do we get charcoal? We get a charcoal by cutting down trees and destroying our forests just to get charcoal. So, as we move one step forward, these activities will take us backwards. And you can't entirely blame these rural areas' habitats because man must survive. All we need is to make sure that the cost of LPG is very low and affordable. For me, it's not even the cost of LPG. If we have to cut down trees because we have to have charcoal, we should just have simple measures by you cut one tree, you plant 3. Is this some rocket science? This one is not like Ankwesi is saying we don't have money to build cities. No, you plant one tree, just plant 3. You cut one, plant 3. So it's easy. So that the fact that we're cutting, down trees for charcoal, and charcoal is very beneficial, even for health, our own intake. It's used for many things. So we cannot say that we will live without charcoal. So we have to cut out the trees, yes. But what are the measures put in place in cutting down one tree? You cut down one tree, you plant 3. That is the kind of laws we need to have in the country, so that it's not that we don't want to cut down trees. We need the trees, actually. We need to build. We need to do things, yes, but cut and replace. Annie, good morning. On the Teshi Bush Road, while you're driving to your church, have you noticed how unscrupulous people are deliberately filling up the Kpeshi Lagoon and setting up containers, scraps, car sale points, etc.? The worst thing is, when other municipalities evict those illegal structures and persons then, structures, those illegal structures and persons, then they find their way to the banks of Peshi Lagoon. Meanwhile, the MCE for Lejokuku doesn't seem to care. I've tried so many times to reach him. Instead, they send people to come and collect property rates. I await their next attempt because I'm beyond frustration. Helga. Helga sent us in. Annie, for how long will Ghana as a country be planting trees? A lot of money has been dissipated on tree planting exercises, but yet nothing meaningful has been achieved. The terms of having a sustainable environment. This is from David Adru. David, thank you. Good morning, Annie. Mr. President, President Nana Mahama didn't say he wants to remove the capital from Accra, but he wants a strategy to decongest the capital. Kirk, RCU, Western Region. That's exactly what I said, because I heard him in the video. He said he wanted to move some of the activities of the government from Accra into other areas, and that's a way of decongestion. So, well, let me move on to other areas and speak about your Greater Accra tour. Okay, first let's play the video of what Dr. Bawumia said in responding to cathedral matters.
The question on the National Cathedral is a very important one. The National Cathedral, I have contributed to its construction personally. I believe it's a very important thing for Ghana. But I think that as it stands now, the church has to come together, and government, and let us sit down and talk about the way forward for the National Cathedral. The church should come together and let us know the best way forward, how we can even get private resources to help us to complete the cathedral. But I think it is possible. We should not say it is not possible. Let us all sit back together and figure out the way forward on how to complete this cathedral. I think if we all come together, we'll figure it out. I really believe so. So I want us to come together and sit down and see the best way forward to generate the resources to complete. It's a very important one. The National Cathedral, I have contributed to its construction personally. I believe it's a very important.
Right, so it's possible. Eric.
I mean, I'm struggling to
was that
understand.
The main, or was just a question? That
was a question from. I mean, so basically, I think that for us to have contest, as part of the campaign, the flag bearer and the leader of the NPP, when he goes to every region, this is the 15th region that we've been to, would have a meeting with the clergy. We'll have a meeting with the imams. We'll have a meeting with the chiefs and elders of the land who are the custodians of the land. And then he has engagements outside of the either business district, market areas, artisans, and all of that. And then he has a Youth Connect program, which is a program that actually makes him, or gives him an opportunity to interact with young people across the country from various sectors of our economy, students, artisans, entrepreneurs, and all of those people in one environment to interact and then also share his vision. And so as part of yesterday's program, and mind you, the Greater Accra regional tour is actually over 2 days. We're actually finishing today. He had an opportunity to interact with the clergy, and after he had spoken, these were questions that came in one of the questions, and that was how he answered it. And I honestly think that is probably the most profound answer that he could have given, and given the fact that, as we speak, some resources have already gone into the construction of the National Cathedral. And this is one of the things that, for me, I think that the generality of Christians in this country are basically in support of. And so the Vice President is of the view that, well, because of the challenges that has come with the construction. He feels that it's important that there's a conversation with the church to look at a way, a way that the cathedral will become something that will be completed. And he's looking at resources from the private sector, the church itself, and looking at people bringing views and preferring opinions as to how to be able to build that. And so for me, I think that I'm not sure if there's anything controversial about what he said. I mean, he's actually asking that, given the opportunity, he would consult with the church to find a solution to making sure that the whole concept of a national cathedral comes to fruition.
As citizens of a secular state, which is facing all the problems that we all know we are facing, I don't think that we're expecting our leader, our president, to be spending his time on consultations to build a cathedral, especially given our experiences with the attempt to build a cathedral over the last 8 years. I don't think that that is the way to go, and I'm serious about it, I mean, look at the state of the nation today. So if you look at the state of the nation today and you hear our leaders talking about cathedral and so on, what do you think? Is that what our leaders should be talking about today?
But they asked me.
Are you saying that he shouldn't have answered the question that was, posed to him? He should have answered. He definitely has to answer.
Yeah, but it depends on what answer you give.
You give. Okay.
Clearly, he's saying that he's committed to building the cathedral.
It's possible. He said it is possible.
Not just that it is possible, but he has a commitment to building the cathedral. Now he has made personal donations and he's going to consult to find how best to build it. That's what he's saying. Is that what we expect?
With the church and with the support of the private sector?
But for those who did the personal donations,
with the support of anything,
shouldn't they be interested in seeing the success of the cathedral? If I donated, I want to see what my money has been used for, because specifically that's what I was asked to donate.
That's your private matter.
Hey.
It's not a matter for the state of Ghana. It's your private matter.
Oh, how?
How is that not your private matter? The Constitution says that every citizen has a right to believe in whatever God, whatever deity, to worship anyhow or not to worship. Is that not what the Constitution says? So what you worship, what structure of worship you build and so on, is your private matter. It should not become a state matter. That's the point I'm making. You understand? So, is it his business? It may be his business as a private citizen who initially started off his religious, things from the Boys Brigade and so on. Maybe. But as president, it's not part of his duty.
But at this point, Uncle, it has become a problem because we have even used the nation's money and pumped into that project. And so
I'm sure you've heard about the phrase cutting losses.
Yes.
Cut your loss. Cut your loss. Cut your losses and focus on the most important things. Still talking about building the National Cathedral. What is this? What is this? We should be serious in this country and stop this joke. And who says that if you promise to build a national cathedral, Christians will vote for you? Or that Christians are interested in the building of a national cathedral? Some of the strongest opposition to this project has come from the Christian community.
In fact, some of the pastors who are on the board resigned.
Yeah, some of the strongest opposition has come from the Christian community. You understand? And look, so many people are on the campaign trail, a lot more are likely to join them, and so on. Please do not think that we, the citizens, are idiots. We are not idiots. So don't go around like the British politician who went to the rural area and promised to build a bridge. I'm sure you know that story. Yeah, I will build you a bridge. And then a small guy from the audience said, but sir, there's no river here. He said, don't worry, I'll add a river. Stop behaving like that. You're dealing with people who are capable of thinking. You understand? So don't come making all these useless promises which you can't fulfill, promises which do not resolve the real concrete problems that confront our people today. Let's be serious.
Okay.
And this whole National Cathedral business, I mean, incredible. One of the things that really shocked me was this importation of the what stone do they call it? The foundation stone, from Israel. So ignorant, so backward. Why? A regime with the International Criminal Court has determined that it's committing genocide. It's the regime which brings you the cornerstone of your cathedral. It is an ambassador who is Jewish who brings you the cornerstone of your Christian cathedral. When indeed, Judaism does not recognize Christianity. Judaism does not even recognize the New Testament. The New Testament they think is fake. So, even if you were minded to do something for Christians, is that how to do it?
All right, let's go to the court. No, before I go to the court, I think I'll raise this first. Since the matter in court, maybe you can deal with it later. The EC did a U-turn yesterday about stopping political parties from monitoring the vote transfer exercise. Eric, are you happy or you are not happy? Because yesterday your party was in agreement with the EC that yes, we are not going to send our reps to go and monitor. We agree with you, we won't go. The NDC says we don't agree. We will still send. In fact, on this platform, they called for their people to march to the centers and go and monitor. I think only after some calls had come, and then we saw the EC coming back and saying, okay, we will allow you to go. I mean, just quickly before I take you to the court.
We still agree with the EC.
So you are always in agreement with the EC?
We are not always in agreement with the EC. We still agree with the EC. I mean, I think that, you see, sometimes principles are important in this conversation. I mean, what is a voter transfer? You know, that's what I'm saying. And the thing that, what does the law actually say? Right? And the EC, and the statement I read from the EC in reconsidering why the political parties should be allowed is to ensure transparency and all of that. But again, like in this country, we always move away from the real crux of the matter. The real crux of the matter is that when the political parties were allowed to go and observe something that was supposed to be just a mere observation, it turned into people being stabbed. And their presence there is not a function of any law. And so the EC makes a decision that, well, if you're going to come here and be stabbing people and fighting and be doing things that are illegal, because even if you have a challenge with somebody transferring their votes or doing something that you think that is inimical to the law, the electoral laws, there's a process. You understand? So we don't live in a jungle. You can't have a political party deciding that, as for us, if it doesn't go our way, we are going to cause mayhem. And because if the EC does something that we disagree with, right, it means that they are doing something to favor the MPP. What kind of ridiculous assertion is that? Do you understand what I'm saying? And that's why I'm saying that. When we have these conversations, I honestly, on any day, will not feel an ounce of whatever for the NDC when it comes to issues to do with electoral conversations. We have lived in this country when the NDC had actually had stewardship of this country and conducted elections and their conduct. And so for me, this whole idea of somebody who has registered and says that because of ABCD, I'm going to transfer my vote from this place to the other place, and you feel that you have a challenge with it, you go through the process. So, I don't even know why our position will change if the EC now says that, well, upon whatever reflection, they feel that we should still allow political parties to come and observe? Yes. Their initial decision to say that, well, if this is going to turn into a chaotic situation, then we should stop them, because there is no legal provision that says that a political party should be observing the activities of the Electoral Commission to start with. We ourselves, as a country, have agreed on a set of conventions that we work with. This whole conversation around IPAC and all of those things. Because, you see, in one breath, we are calling for development, we're calling for improvement, we're calling for all sorts of things. In other jurisdictions, people go, when you turn 18, your name goes into the electoral roll. That's it. If you enter into a country and you acquire legal status, your name goes into the electoral roll. So in one breath, as a country, we say that, oh, as for us, we want Ghana to develop, we want us to use best practices, state of the art, this, that. And we are still stuck in certain crude mindset because of election purposes. And I honestly, sometimes, I'm a bit passionate about this. I don't understand.
Oh, you should understand.
No, but the
there
point,
are trust issues.
No, but if there are, that's the point that I'm trying to make. That, you see, there's a famous fable when we're growing up. It's called the Ace of Fables, the boy who cried wolf. Have you read that story? Mm-hmm. You haven't read The Boy Who Cried Wolf. The boy who was a shepherd who kept exactly, but Annie should know the Danish story. Ace of Fables.
Why do you want to?
And you went to an international school. You should know that.
Which international?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The ace of the shepherd boy.
It's not for the cytosines,
right?
Like
the shepherd boy kept saying that. Oh, every time he gets bored, we'll say that. Oh, wolf, 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 wolf.
You cry wolf.
Right. Now the day that the wolf came, the village people, now thought, it was one of those things, because anytime he cried wolf and they go there, he bursts out laughing. That is exactly what the NDC is doing.
It's the same
they
thing.
Should focus.
It's the same thing MPP did.
Listen, they should focus on prosecuting their campaign. Because it's very clear, over the last, like 5 or 6 election cycles, that really, if you've done your campaign, if you focus on whatever the messaging is, it doesn't matter who is the Electoral Commission.
Okay.
And if we want to go by things that they themselves have said, you can even quote former President Mahama in terms of why he thought that the MPP, and me, I'm objective when it comes to this conversation. Let me finish. Can I finish?
Finish.
Right. When he thought that the MPP was attacking the Electoral Commission and all of those things, he should stand by those principles. You see, sometimes, there's this whole conversation around, it's only a fool that doesn't change his mind and everything. But also principles, right, are important.
No, but principles demand that you do the right thing. I was going to ask you.
Based on whose expediency and whose parochial interest.
I was going to ask you that when SAL happened,
yes,
were the parties not in their line, were they not doing the processes, going through whatever they have to go through? But SAL happened. The Attorney General declared on the floor of Parliament that what the EC did was wrong.
Yes.
So if a political party calls for the EC to do the right thing, it is not standing by your principle. How is that argument?
You cannot engage in grandstanding, in creating an impression. I'm paraphrasing what he says, that a party that knows that they are losing an election will intentionally create the impression that the referee, who is the EC, is doing A, B, C, D to be something that is impacting them negatively. Can't we say the same? Why is it different? Is this EC being conjured from somewhere? That's what I'm saying. So for me, I think that, yes, as the two main, political parties, sometimes objectivity is important. We can't have a situation where you have a political system, you have an electoral system that says that the Electoral Commission should be an independent referee. And it's always the case. It's never happened that the MPP and the NDC will agree on anything anyway. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that is why it's important that we do not sully the reputation of the Electoral Commission, because at every point in time, that entity is meant to make a decision. Because if you create a certain impression that if the EC makes a decision and it is something that the MPP agrees with, it means that all of a sudden the EC is working for the MPP or vice versa. Then what is the point of having an independent arbiter to start with? You know what I'm saying? So because the reasons why the people who put that in our constitution did that was because they envisaged that there will be such a time where people would disagree and somebody has to be given the power to make those informed decisions and make it decisive. And so for me, I don't really understand this whole, especially when it comes to voter transfer. You know what I'm saying? As somebody is transferring their votes from one place to the other, you say you have issues with it. Go through the process. Use the processes to be able to make sure that if there's something untoward happening, you will forestall it. What is this thing about taking, a knife to go and stab somebody and ask your people to march up to the EC offices and all of those? But that is why I'm saying that. You see, sometimes, I mean, I get a bit agitated when it comes to this conversation because if you say that it's because of mistrust, and that's the reason why we cannot even have, if you like, electoral reforms, right? And it's taken the MP, every single major electoral reform that we've had in this country has been championed by the MPP. When the NDC, when we started, we were doing opaque ballot boxes. We're doing, you know what I'm saying? So we moved on. Of course, for every electoral cycle and every electoral system, you may have certain challenges. Even the bastion of democracy, they go to an election. I know you won't agree.
Which is the bastion of democracy?
But they go into an election, right? And there are disputes. And there are people even marching all the way to the Capitol Hill and all of those things to cause disruptions, right? So you would have, because these things are the stakes are high. But we have to have the political parties also showing leadership, right? Okay. And not sending people on a wild goose chase and even claiming at after the dawn of elections that, so-and-so has won by 57%. And then it turns out that they haven't even done their collation. They go to court and they say that they don't have evidence. Okay. These are the people that we are dealing with.
Okay. Let me have one, Chrissy.
Listen, I mean, my dear Annie, listen carefully. I
almost said my dear Chrissy Pratt.
Why did you say that?
Because I remember my dear Sisi. My dear Cecilia, please continue.
Listen, the decision to transfer your votes from one constituency to the other is a very personal decision based on personal convenience. That is not a party decision. Personal decision which should be based on personal convenience. Okay. So when you have a situation where a political party mobilizes 3 buses of people from Ashama, from Tamale, from Zalerugu, and sends them to Wolensi, don't you see that something terrible is happening? The people from Ashama, Tamale, and Zalerugu, what brought them together to join 3 buses together to go to Wolensi to go and transfer their votes? So here, it is clear that we are no longer talking about just transfer of votes. We are talking about what in election terms is described as gerrymandering. Clear.
Does that also constitute gerrymandering?
Yes.
But if you are talking about gerrymandering in this country, we will not finish. If you want to.
Master, we can talk about it. We may not finish. I don't care.
Yes.
What I'm saying is that there are reasons why the registration exercise is going through what is going through now. You understand? Ideally, why should registration exercise lead to fisticuffs and knives and guns and so on? Why should that happen? It shouldn't happen in any country. It shouldn't happen in any civilized society. But it is happening now because the process is being undermined by political parties. It is happening now because things are happening that undermine the trust of the political parties in the system. If it's just a question of me going to transfer my vote from Ayawasu Central to wherever, there's no problem with it. But if tomorrow morning in my constituency, I wake up in the morning and I will see 3 buses, and we question the people on the buses, and some of them are coming from Lejekuku, some of them are coming from Ayawasu Central, some of them are coming from Ayawasu East, and so on, and they have been put together in 3 buses to come to my constituency to vote, I will resist it. And it is legitimate to resist it. You understand? So that is the problem. Besides, if you look at all the public opinion polls, recent ones, the confidence of the public in the Electoral Commission is dwindling. Something must account for that. Yes, sir. So why the public doesn't have confidence in the Electoral Commission, there are many reasons why people like me have very little confidence in the Electoral Commission. You expect these suspicions to grow, and you must expect some of these outcomes. You understand? Now, talking about political leaders and their lack of confidence in the Electoral Commission and so on, NDC and NPP, at least all of you have on one occasion gone to the Supreme Court to ask for the results to be annulled. Is that a display of confidence? So both of you, strictly speaking, cannot claim to have 100% confidence in the electoral process and the Electoral Commission. So this thing about John Mahama said that, and John Mahama didn't say that, and so on, where is it coming from? You went to the court like John Mahama to go and protest that the elections were not free and fair. You understand? So it's not a one-party problem. It's a problem for all of you to resolve. You understand? Now, talking about the vilification of electoral commissioners, what is happening now is child's play. And I mean it. It's child's play. Compared to what happened to the previous electoral commissioner, what was her name? Charlotte Osei. What is happening now? It's child's play. Some of the things they said about her cannot be repeated on morning television. Horrible things were said publicly about her. Untruths. What is happening to Madame Jane Mensah is child's play compared to what happened to Charlotte Osei. I'll give you just one example. People had the guts to accuse a married woman of flirting with the sitting president at the time and use that as a basis for attacking the credibility of the commission that she chaired. I mean, how horrible can you be? So the attacks on James and so on, they are not new. They are not new. The most important thing is that what do we do now in order to...
Even on the James attacks,
yes,
they are not attacks on her person. So far, I haven't seen attacks on her person.
I wouldn't
when you say that, I would.
You see, the criticisms I see of Jean Mensah, there are criticisms of her office, the activities that she's engaged in, whatever the processes she's doing. Sal is number 1 on the list. The recent mistakes that we saw in the graphics of data that she shared, she's come to explain. There are a lot of things that she has done according to the EC or by the EC.
So
that's where the critics,
what exactly are you
the
saying?
criticisms are driven to.
You haven't heard personal attacks on.
No, I haven't.
Okay.
No, I haven't. If you've heard some, you can tell.
No,
me.
but and that's not to say that if anybody attacks anyone personally, it's right. And I am one of those people who, I will not countenance that. And I've started on this platform and even said that I disagree with their position on Saul. You understand? I've said it, and I even said that as we shouldn't actually repeat that mistake, and that even from the day one, somebody should have been given an opportunity to either serve as a representative, either by the speaker or whatever, to play a dual role until that issue is resolved. Okay. And I mean, I will not shy away from the fact and say that I disagree with Saul, and I still disagree with their position on Saul. And it's not something that should be, done again.
Eric, continue. I don't have a problem with you.
I'm good. I'm good.
And this thing about party agents at the registration centers and at the centers where votes are being transferred and so on. I mean, Eric makes a point which is right, just right, that there's no law which insists that there should be agents. But there's no law which also says that there should be no agents. And in fact, the presence of agents is the result of an agreement between the parties and the Electoral Commission.
I say that.
You understand?
Yeah.
Which needs to be respected.
Yes.
It is all to further the interest of more transparency and so on. And I think it should be respected. That is why IPAC was created. And IPAC was created because all the political parties, without exception, have at one stage or the other expressed a certain lack of confidence in the Electoral Commission. So the agreement is that, look, let's all sit down, let's all work the rules and find ways of ensuring that we can monitor the Commission's work so that we can all accept the results of the Commission. And I think it's a good thing, which we should encourage. When the Commission announced that it was not going to allow party agents and so on to be present at these centers, I thought it was crazy. Completely crazy. Why? What did you achieve? People are not stabbing themselves because party agents are present. That's not why people are stabbing themselves. People are stabbing themselves in some constituency and so on because in previous elections, there were violent incidents, and the victims of those violent incidents have sworn that never again would they be subjected to violence without response. That's part of the problem. People are resorting to this reckless violence, which I believe must be totally condemned, because they have come to the conclusion that the state and government will do nothing when we are shot and killed. So they want to protect themselves. I tell this story of having been invited to go to a celebration, some activity about the victims of the Iwasu West Wagon, shooting. And Annie, that day, I felt so sad. Saw people who had been amputated. Some people whose sores had not been healed then. Some people who would never be able to walk again. Some people who would never be able to work again, and so on. And the perpetrators are still at large. The government's own commission of inquiry, which it carefully composed, I think it was chaired by Justice Emil Short, one of the most distinguished jurists in our country. On that commission of inquiry was a former Inspector General of Police, Justice Henrietta Mensah Bonsu, currently a Supreme Court judge, sat on the commission. When they finished and they presented their report to government, what happened? Nothing. Even sections of the report were publicly condemned and thrown out. So if this happens, how are we to have confidence in the government, in the state, to protect us when we are attacked at polling stations, at registration centers, and so on? This is the kind of situation which makes people prepare to defend themselves. It's not because people are violent. It's not because people are reckless. It is because their lives are important to them. We are talking about
in elections.
Yeah, we are talking about where the stabbing took place. In the last elections, were guns not fired there?
The same
place. Yeah. The people who fired the guns, what happened to them? So if you're going for an election, people come with guns and they fire and so. And there is another election-related activity, and I'm representing my party, what do I do?
I'll come protected.
What do I do? 8 people were shot dead. What happened? You know, so look, we should have a holistic attitude. I mean, I agree with Eric that what is happening is condemnable. It should never happen. We should all work to prevent this electoral violence and so on. I agree with you 100%. But there are causes.
It doesn't stop at condemning.
Yeah, there are causes.
No, see,
we have to eliminate the causes.
The causes are things that need to be uprooted, right? And in this conversation, I mean, for me, in this conversation, when you have two dominant political parties, I can give examples. You can give, the other person can give examples.
Give. It's okay.
And then what happens is that, and I've always maintained that, maybe I'm a pacifist when it comes to these conversations. I've always maintained that it has to come to a certain point where we agree that, I mean, in this day and age, it is crude, it's barbaric for us to even have...
It's not just agreements.
No, but I mean...
You remember that when it comes to...
No, can I
in Parliament, I think it was Nanado that called for it, disbandment of, what do you call them?
Yeah.
What do you call those guys?
Vigilante
guys, remember?
Yes.
And all the parties signed on to it.
Yeah,
but it doesn't end there.
No, but you see, but the point I'm trying to make is that, you see, when you move away from sort of elevating the discourse about policy, I mean, directions, your vision and everything, and the conversation becomes, oh, we will match you boot for boot, or people say all sorts of things. And then it trickles down to the grassroots, the base. And everybody feels that the only way for you to be able to do this is to show muscle, right? It also, I mean, basically degrades the whole conversation. And I'm saying that we've had conversation around even what we want to do with our register from time immemorial. We have spent money. So the same people who have conversation around, oh, we are wasting a lot of money, we could find better ways of, expending our resources and everything. We'll balk at the idea, for example, of using even the Ghana card and other ways of ensuring that you have people given the opportunity to vote, because it happens elsewhere. You understand what I'm saying? We've had a conversation where even in our constitution, we have something called ROPA, which is supposed to give Ghanaians abroad and everywhere an opportunity to also exercise their votes. It's a civic responsibility. We don't want to do it, again, for the same mistrust between both political parties and all that. But, I mean, if, for example, my great-grandfather should all of a sudden emerge from his grave, it's almost as if that we are stuck in that era of either mistrust, and for every election cycle, these are conversations that we'll be having. And as far as I'm concerned...
If you were, and I'm not saying you will be, but if you were in NDC, and you saw that 8-9 people were killed in election 2020, nothing has happened to that situation, and you were leading the party into another election, what would have been your communication?
If you were in MPP and you went to Talensi, or you went to Wongbo demonstration and you had the police unleashed on you, or you went to Talensi and a certain interior minister had an AK-47 in his car and people were shot at in an MPP office, what would you say?
Okay.
So
hold on. I like the example you have.
The point I'm trying to make.
What I'm saying is that it is leadership
that
has failed. If leadership must punish these acts, Talensi, for example, nobody was punished, right? 2020, nobody has been punished.
I can even give you
we set up a committee.
I can even give you
nobody has been punished. It is a leadership problem, and it is intensifying the trust issues we have in our electoral process.
I'm surprised you even asked me that question. I can even go as far back as Tripoli, where a 7 security officer in broad daylight shoots somebody, and they have to take the intervention of Professor.
I'm not sure if you get my point.
No, but that, you see, I think you're on the same.
Yes,
and
exactly.
That's why I started by saying that if we are talking about who has done what and who has, we will never finish. You understand what I'm saying? It is important that we come to a point where we realize that in this day and age, we can't be having the conversation, because when you do that,
we are not talking about who has done what now. Now we are talking about
but
who.
Because you brought the
now we are talking about who is supposed to do what
but
and did not do.
It takes a collective effort. It takes two for anything to happen. It takes two to tango.
It doesn't take a collective effort to show leadership.
No, but that's what I'm saying. It takes two to tango.
It is not a collective effort to show leadership. It's not.
It does. Let me tell you. Leadership on all fronts. You see, we have this conversation all the time. There is a political class. There's a political system that governs this country. When you go to parliament, right, and so sometimes we have to educate ourselves. When you go to parliament, you have minority and majority.
Okay.
They all take their part of. We have a governance structure. You have 4 arms of government. You understand what I'm saying? You have the executive, you have the legislature, you have the all of these people are there to play a specific role.
Okay.
Right? And then you have political parties who are players or stakeholders in this whole democratic enterprise. You require every single one. So, for example, if an issue goes to the courts regarding anything in connection with political or election violence, then you expect that the judiciary would what? Will play its role. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Let me ask you. Where you are going to is not what I need.
No,
well, let me ask you one. Just one question.
What were you expecting?
Just one question. On Ayawaso West Wagon,
yes,
we set up a committee. The committee brought out its report.
Exactly.
The report was presented to the president.
Exactly.
Who is supposed to implement what's on the report? The collective. Is it a collective implementation?
The executive.
Exactly.
And then your position.
And who is the leader of the executive?
No, and your position is that if that is implemented, it means that it forestalls all the challenges we have in the.
It goes a long way to send a message to the followership.
Because you have also indicated that even in this whole conversation, there's mistrust. You understand? So even in the quest,
that's why I said that.
You're moving from.
That's why I said that.
You're dealing with two.
Yeah, that's why I said if you fail to implement the recommendation that's been given to you, you are intensifying the problem of the mistrust.
No, but you see, you're missing 2 points, right? I am not ashamed to say that I'm a politician, so I'm biased. I have biases. Do you understand what I'm saying? And that if we move away from the conversation around an executive and you talk about political parties, let's move away from the executive for once. Talk about political parties, where you have persons who feel that under a certain regime, right? I'm not even going to, what's it called? Remind people of all the losses, and one person that loses their life as a result of either MPP or NDC or any political party, it's not worth it. You know, that's what I'm saying. But I remember in 2014, 2013, thereabout, there were a couple of boys, 4 or 5 of them, at Abogloshi, who were actually butchered in broad daylight, right in front of a police station. People have scars. You understand? So me, even as an individual, I can sit here and be all articulate about we should do this, we should do that, we should do that. It takes a certain collective, conviction to say that as the 2 dominant political parties and whatever, our focus should be on elevating the discourse, creating a system that we are all happy with and we trust, so that when it comes to elections, it's like what happens elsewhere. Okay. It is not a show of force, a show of who has the majority of, even like macho men or whatever they call them, right, to go and disrupt a process or even protect a process. You understand what I'm saying? So for me, I think that we're on the same page. Okay. I will never, ever countenance violence just because of elections, right? But the reality on the ground is that there's still that mistrust. There are people who feel that as a political party, we have to go outside of what the state provides. And they will come out with all sorts of reasons. Okay. Recently, I think that there was a demonstration that was supposed to have been championed by one of the groups, right? And they said that they were going to the offices of the former president, right? And you saw these NDC activists holding cutlasses and matches and all of that, claiming that they were doing a cleaning exercise. So, do you understand what I'm saying? Just imagine that another group says, oh, they were going to Jubilee House or whatever, and then you find MPP activists holding cutlasses and machetes as a basis to even, and you saw some of the videos on social media. You understand? And you see, when these things happen, it needs to be condemned across board. You can't say that, oh, because this person felt that this thing happened over a certain period, they are doing self-defense or protecting themselves. When we have a situation where we've all agreed that we're going to be governed by a system,
and that system is not governing, what do you do?
But you cannot say that because you have to activate that.
There's a difference between Flagstaff House and the office of the former president.
Anyway. MPP office, anyway.
Yeah.
I mean,
okay.
But there's a substantial difference.
Okay. Mark from USA says that, Annie, gerrymandering harm our democracy. Political gerrymandering distorts and undermines representative democracy. It allows officials to choose their voters rather than voters choosing who represents them. This is not very good for Ghana's young democracy. We need to stop busing voters to other constituencies. Mark is sending this from USA. Alfred Triddle says that, good morning, Annie. The Electoral Commission chaired by Jean Mensah is trying everything possible to plunge the country into chaos before and after the December 7 election. I'm surprised how the Peace Council and everybody is quiet watching the EC rig elections for the NPP. It's an allegation you're making. But let me do this quick one before I take a break. So, the happy birthday to Emma Morrison. Emma Morrison, I think she's worked with almost all the major media houses I can ever think of, TV3, Multimedia, Metro TV. She's now with the gold industry. So Emma Morrison, happy birthday to you. But also happy birthday to the man in the center of the court controversy today, the Attorney General. Today is Godfrey Damit's birthday. Why are you looking at me like that? So today is Godfrey Damit's birthday. And happy birthday to him. I couldn't have time to talk more. But Guy G sent a message. Guy G, good morning to you. I haven't heard from you in a long while. He says that the need for National Cathedral completion, as it stands now, the project poses potential benefits and costs to society, which must drive the expedition of the actions meant to address its challenges. A national cathedral is a symbol of a nation faith in the Holy Lord, God of all flesh, a place of the national gatherings devoid of denominational or interfaith differences. Quite intriguingly, the president's objective of building the cathedral, according to the Manglos Wilbur 2023 aid, is that the cathedral provides a historic opportunity to put God at the center of our national affairs and serves as a symbol of our eternal and continuing gratitude to him for the blessing he continues to shower and bestow on our nation. Regards. So, Gaiji, this is very debatable, actually.
Which of the gods?
He said the holy God.
But the gods worshipped by Kunedi is also holy.
Well, that's your...
The Tigari God is also holy. So which of the gods?
Exactly, that's what I said.
Or the Jewish God? Which of the gods?
Oh, my goodness. So Annie, good morning. Please tell Eric that there is no medium to challenge registrants who seek to transfer their votes. Hence, party agents must be present to satisfy themselves that those transfers are valid and true. And the stabbing issue, unfortunate that is, was not just an NDC creation. The gerrymandering is what must be stopped. How does people who do not reside in that constituency choose MPs for them? Eugene Eshen earlier sent that in from East Legon. The trust factor in our electoral system is fundamental to the sanity of our election. By now, the trust factor should improve, but when the executive led by Akufo-Addo is by his appointment fanning the flame of mistrust, what do you expect? Mansa Musa sent this in. I have more, but let me just take a breather. Thank you, gentlemen, for making time with me. I couldn't go to the court, but let's go for a break. We'll be back shortly with trends.